Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction. This time we're going to look at the 2024 House map for the month of May 2024. So we're going to have an early look at these House races. And I think we'll start off with the state of New York because George Santos has announced he's not running as an independent in New York's 1st district, which makes this a likely Republican district. I think Laylow is very favored to win now, but there is a decent Democratic candidate running against him. So it'll at least stay as a likely Republican race, but I think Laylow is still going to end up winning here. With Tom Suozzi, he's easily going to win here by a likely blue margin. Anthony D'Esposito, I think he's the most likely Republican candidate to lose re-election here. It's a Biden plus 14% seat. His only chance is if Trump somehow wins Nassau County, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Biden's going to end up carrying this county, and this will probably end up dooming D'Esposito here. I think he loses by a likely blue margin. Moving into the 18th district with Pat Ryan, he'll have incumbency advantage this time around, and I think he'll fare a very good chance at actually winning here, so I think he ends up winning by a likely blue margin in the election. Moving on to the 19th district, I think Molinaro, it's going to be a very close race. He is facing the same opponent again who nearly beat him last time, so I think it'll be very close, but I think he's going to end up narrowly edging out the Democrat here. Brandon Williams, he's not acting moderate enough in Congress to really have a chance at surviving in this Biden by double-digit district here by 11%. So I think he's very favored to lose, and I think it's probably going to happen. I think he loses by about 4 percentage points here, so a lean blue margin. Moving on to Michael Lawler's district, I think this will be another very competitive race. Polls have this in the margin of error. So even though he does have incumbency advantage, it's a Biden plus 10% district, and I think Biden will do okay upstate in New York. I think his margins are probably going to go down a bit in these very blue districts here in New York City. So down ballot, that wouldn't really hurt Democrats that much because they're just such deep blue seats that they're not going to flip even with a reduction in margin in the city. So I think this will be a very close race, but I think Lawler is going to narrowly get unseated here by the Democratic candidate. So Republicans managed to win one very close race with Molinaro, but they end up losing Lawler and D'Esposito and Williams here. So let's go to California, the next biggest state for House races, and let's just get a zoom in here. If it would load, oh, clicked on the wrong button. I clicked on the wrong button again. There we go. So going on with these very competitive races here, I think Young Kim, she's very favored to win. She won by a landslide, I believe, back in 2022. So I think she's very favored to win here again in this narrow Biden district. She just has incumbency advantage. In the 47th district, it'll be a competitive race because the Democratic candidate's actually quite bad. I'm pretty sure the reason he is a bad candidate because he has a DUI on his record, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but that's what I've read so far about him. So I think he's definitely going to face a bit of a struggle here, but I think he's still going to end up narrowly winning. It's still a very blue Biden seat, being a double-digit Biden seat, but very close in the House back in 2022, even with Porter and her incumbency advantage, but I think it's going to be a very close race again. Michelle Steele, it's a narrow Republican trending district, so I think she's going to manage to win here, but the best Democrat did end up winning that second place position here for the general election. So I think Democrats are going to put resources here into attempting to win this seat, which I think they should. They should try to expand the map however they can. And it's still a likely blue Biden seat, so they very well could flip the seat, even if it's slightly Republican trending. But I just think Michelle Steele's Republican incumbency advantage here will definitely narrowly help her out here. Moving on to the 41st district, this is a narrow Trump seat, but it's Democratic trending. And Ken Calvert, he nearly lost when Democrats didn't even put resources into this race. And this time, this is one of their top targets to flip a House seat. So I think this is just prime to flip here, and I honestly expect it to happen. But I think it's going to be a very narrow fight. He does have incumbency advantage. But so far, I think Democrats are going to narrowly unseat him with Will Rawlins, who's a pretty decent candidate who made this race close without really any funds. Moving on to Mike Garcia's district, I think he's quite favored to win here. He won by a pretty large margin back in 2022, 6%, and he did do well in the primary races in California, but typically the primary races in California are more Republican than the general election. So even though he won by such a big margin there, he is facing a new Democratic candidate, this time in Whiteside. So I think it'll be another competitive race, but I think Garcia is narrowly going to hold on here in another clutch victory, which he usually achieves here. Josh Harder, he's facing a decent Republican candidate, but it's a very Democratic district, and he has incumbency advantage, so I think he's going to end up winning here. So with the 13th district, Duth Huerta, he barely won last time around. It's a Biden plus 11% district, and it was very low voter turnout in this election. So I think Adam Gray is probably going to actually end up unseating him here in the state of California. Moving on to Valadez seat, it's a D plus 13 district. He won by 3% back in 2022, and it was another very, very low turnout race. So I think this race is also going to flip, but it'll be a bit more competitive in the 13th. Let's go back to the wide view of the whole map. I think we can focus on Alaska. Mary Peltola, polls actually show it as a decent close race, but she has such high approval here that I still expect her to win by a lean blue margin in the state of Alaska. I think the Blue Dog Dems will come out with another victory there in that state. Moving on to Washington, there's really only one competitive district here that's actually going to be watched. 8th is pretty much going to be likely blue. But the 3rd district, we're having a rematch between Marie Perez and Joe Kent. It's a narrow Trump district that's slightly Democratic trending, so that's favorable for Marie Perez. And Joe Kent, he isn't a strong candidate at all. He's really one of the weaker ones. And I think Marie Perez, with her incumbency advantage now in hand, I think she's favored to actually end up winning this House seat yet again come November against a rematch with Joe Kent. So let's go to neighboring Oregon. We have a few competitive races here, but they're mainly just likely blue Biden seats. Democrats really did bad in Oregon in 2022. Like, they nearly lost these very Democratic seats, but now they have incumbency advantage at least, so they're still going to hang on here, but I would probably put them in the likely blue category for now because of how competitive they were in 2022. But with Lori Chavez de Rimmer, it's a Biden plus 9 district, and I think Democrats are probably going to narrowly unseat her here by a tilt blue margin in this state. Again, I think voter turnout will be much higher in Oregon than it was last time, and I think a lot more Democrats will turn out in this district and vote out the Republican candidate here. I think we could go to Nevada next. We got 3 competitive races there, but Democrats did a pretty strong gerrymander in the state of Nevada, all creating these into likely blue Biden seats. So I think they're probably going to end up, the 4th is probably going to be likely blue. The 1st is probably going to be likely blue as well. The one seat that'll be competitive is Susie Lee's seat, but I still think she's going to end up winning here by a lean blue margin. So I just agree with the prior ratings here. Going on to Arizona, we only have 2 competitive seats, the 1st and the 6th district. The 1st, I narrowly expect to flip. Swihart barely won last time when Democrats gave up on this district in 2022. And Cisco Maney, I think he'll be in for a competitive race. But because of how close it is presidentially, Arizona, I think his incumbency advantage will narrowly help him end up winning here in this pretty much dead even presidential district. So I think he narrowly holds on here. Let's get a zoom in. So New Mexico, it is a Democratic district here, and I'm pretty sure it's a likely blue Biden district as well. Yeah, it is. Vasquez has incumbency advantage, but he's running against the person who he defeated back in 2022, so it'll be a close race, but I still think Democrats have a narrow edge in the state of New Mexico. Colorado, we got 2 competitive House races here. The 8th is probably going to be lean blue, while the 3rd will be a very competitive race. We're having the Democrat who nearly unseated Lauren Boebert run here, so I think he'll run a decent campaign here. But because Lauren Boebert's not running in this district, she's running in the other one, it's going to be a different Republican candidate. So I think that Republican candidate's going to narrowly end up holding this district yet again. But I think this is one of those targets Democrats should definitely focus on. So going on to Nebraska with Don Bacon, I think he might be in real trouble here because I think Biden's probably going to end up winning Nebraska second by a likely blue margin in November. And it was actually very close for him last time, 2.7% back in 2022, unexpectedly. I thought he was going to win by like 6 or 7, but he really underperformed here. So I think he's in quite a lot of trouble in this race around here. So I actually think this is going to be a narrow Democratic flip just because I think Biden's down ballot performance, or Biden winning Nebraska second by like a likely blue margin, will have a down ballot effect. But Bacon will make it competitive. He is a decent incumbent. He does have a decent shot here. So in Louisiana, a court decision pretty much struck down this map right over here. But it's probably due to the reason that the 6th district isn't compact at all. So what we're probably going to end up seeing happening is that Letlow gets drawn out instead of Garrett Graves, because the 5th district will probably be able to be made into a more compact district overall. So Graves probably lucked out by that court decision, but they're still going to have to draw a second black majority district like the Supreme Court said they had to. So we're going to see the 6th district probably go back into a safe Republican one, and Letlow is actually going to end up getting drawn out here. So that's just currently what I think is going to happen in Louisiana with all those court stuff going down there in the state. But they pretty much found that it wasn't compact enough to be a good map. So we're probably going to see the 5th district become that second black majority seat. Alabama's map is fine. I don't see any court cases overturning that. In Georgia's second, this is an interesting one because this district actually is Republican trending, as one commenter brought up to me in the comments section. So thank you for bringing that up, because I looked at the race and it is getting pretty closer over time here. And recently they had to make a new map in Georgia so we don't have those house numbers here. But he won last time around by, I think, like, it's either 10 or 9% he won by. So I could see this as a likely blue seat because it is narrowly Republican trending here in Georgia second. So I'm changing that from safe blue to likely blue. Moving on to Florida. I think a lot of these House races really aren't as close as you think. Marie Salazar, she's going to win by a safe Republican margin. It's in southern Florida, which is heavily trending Republican here. Jared Moskowitz, yeah, I would probably keep it as likely blue in this Miami-Dade area right here. Corey Mills in Florida 7th. He won by a landslide back in 2022. I think this is probably going to be a safe Republican district as well. Laurel Lee, this will probably be, where is this? Florida 15th. Could go safe Republican. Florida's 13th, I think, will stay in the likely Republican margin. She definitely didn't do as well as a lot of her other incumbents here. But it is a Trump plus 3 district, but I think Trump might carry this by double digits because of how far Florida is trending Republican. So I think this district will probably be safe Republican. Well, Darren Soto, I'm actually going to put this as likely blue because Florida is very unpredictable with how much it's shifting in favor of Republicans. So this seat could be in contention. Same with Moskowitz's seat in Florida 23rd, surprisingly. But I'm putting these both as remaining likely blue. North Carolina only has one competitive race because of the gerrymander that was drawn here in favor of Republicans. The 1st district, Don Davis, he is an incumbent, and it is a narrow Biden seat. So I think he'll narrowly end up winning, but it'll be a very close race because I think North Carolina is going to narrowly go to Trump by like 2 percentage points. So that's going to be a bit more Republican than it was in 2020. So I could see this race as being a very, very close one, but I think due to incumbency advantage, Davis will win. Let's move up to Virginia. 2 close races here. Jennifer Wexton's district, her old one. Virginia 10th, I think this is safe blue. I don't think it's going to be that competitive. Spanberger's district, she's not running for re-election here. Virginia 7th, I think it stays lean blue. and Jen Kiggins. I think it'll be very competitive. It is a narrow Biden district, but I think due to incumbency advantage, she manages to hold on. Let's see what's next here. Got a few more races. Iowa, it's probably not going to be that competitive. I think it's a Leonard district. Illinois 17th. I'll take a look at how well the Democrat did there in 2022. It was a decently close district. He did underperform a bit. So I think this will be another competitive race, but I think Democrats will hold on here. In Indiana, this is I believe it's narrowly Republican trending, this district, but I think due to incumbency advantage, Frank Morvan will be able to hold on here. In Ohio, we got 3 competitive races. But this race right here, it's probably going to go likely blue. I agree with that rating. The 13th, I think, will actually be extremely close because it's only a super narrow Biden district. But due to incumbency advantage, I think she manages to hold on. Marcy Kaptur, I think she's going to be in a better position than in the 13th district because she's a long-time incumbent running for a 22nd term here in Ohio's 9th. She won by a landslide last time around. She isn't facing a weak Republican candidate this time around, but just due to the incumbency advantage, she's going to hold on. Let's head to Michigan next. In Michigan, we got 2 competitive races. I agree with the rating, and Michigan's 10th and Michigan's 3rd. The rest of these ratings, the 4th district, it is a narrow Trump district, but I don't think Democrats are really going to try to contest this race, so I think they're not going to do that well there. But in the 7th and 8th, I just think the 8th is 7th is narrowly going to go in favor of Republicans as of right now. It is only a very narrow Biden district, and Slotkin isn't running here. So I think Republicans have a clean path to maybe potentially flipping this seat. And I think they probably end up doing that because I think Biden so far is only narrowly ahead in Michigan by like a tilt margin. So I think this district they'll be able to flip it. In the 8th district, it is narrowly Republican trending, but I think Democrats will be able to narrowly hold on here with Biden winning the state in 2024 as of right now. In Wisconsin's 3rd district, Eric Van Orden, I'll probably put this as lean Republican. Angie Craig, because Minnesota is probably lean D in presidential races, I would probably put Minnesota 2nd as a bit closer than it was last time. In Pennsylvania, let's take a look here. In these 3 races, Susan Wild, Matt Cartwright, I think Susan Wild, she'll probably end up doing a bit better than Cartwright here, just since it's a bluer district overall. And I think Biden's narrowly ahead in this state. But Cartwright, he's in for a pretty big fight because it is a narrow Trump district. But he has shown that he's able to win Trump voters over. Like in that ad he did that I think was very effective, he managed to win in 2022 with it. So I think with Biden winning this state, I think Cartwright will probably narrowly end up winning this seat. Pennsylvania's 10th will be fairly competitive. It is Democratic trending. Chris Deluzzo, I also think that he's quite favored to win here. I think he'll actually end up winning by a likely blue margin. And Democrats have taken control of the House majority already. So going on to these last few states. In New Jersey, I would probably fix some of these ratings here. I don't think the 3rd's going to be competitive. I don't think Gottheimer's any real trouble either. I'd probably put these as safe races. The 7th district will be a competitive one, but I think Tom Keene will be able to narrowly win re-election here in this Biden district. And honestly, I would probably put his victory to about lean Republican because his family does have a legacy in New Jersey. That last name advantage would definitely help him here. And he's an incumbent in a narrow Biden seat, which I think he's actually going to end up winning. So the 5th district, it's competitive down ballot, even though it's so blue presidentially. So I still have this as a lean blue race. So moving up to New Hampshire, we have the 2nd district. Incumbents not running for re-election here. The 1st district's more interesting because we have a decent Republican candidate on the side here who could make it decently competitive. So I have this as a lean blue race as of right now. And now we're going to focus on Maine with Jared Golden. And I think Golden, he's still favored to win. However, coming out in favor of banning assault weapons, I do think that'll hurt him in this race. So instead of him winning by a lean blue margin, I think it's only going to be tilt. But I think he's going to manage to pull it off again. I think he's acted as a moderate in Congress. He voted like a moderate in Congress a lot of times here. So I think voters, especially like centrists and independents or people who are even center right, will probably vote for him for re-election again. He'll probably win enough of them to manage to win here with a coalition like that. And there's ranked choice voting, which will definitely help Jared Golden out here in Maine's 2nd district. So overall, Democrats win the House majority back, 221 seats to the Republicans, 214 as of right now, in my opinion. There's a lot of tilt races, as we can see. But so far, it's going to be quite a competitive map here, but I think Democrats are narrowly favored here. But yeah, that's just my current take on this Senate map right here. Let's see if I like fix any ratings. No, I think these are my final ratings here. I don't think I'll change anything. But other than that, that's my current take on all these house races. So if you're new to this channel, highly recommend subscribing if you enjoy content like this. And let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with this video. Any seats you disagree on, let me know. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.